is really a fairly complex set of behaviors in what is called behavior-based robotics. The objective of this robot was to simulate an animal like an ant or some primitive animal in dealing with its environment of finding food, of reacting to a stimulus that might be a threat, locating objects and going and examining them, the ability to pick up a trail and follow a gradient. That means it's getting more and more. It's like the smell of food. So using that gradient, the robot is able to detect where the food is and go to it. Getting full and then going off and exploring its environment some more.
Well, we had 3 different challenges. The first one was really simple. It had to basically just bump and not get stuck, run into a wall and bump it. If it got into a corner, it had to not get stuck in the corner.
Has a sonar sensor on there.
Sonar, this looks like eyes on the top.
To detect objects, and it'll approach the objects as close as it can get. Then it'll back up and turn away and go back to wandering.
It needs to end up in those patches and feed for a while. It's supposed to emulate a small animal.
Right, the next behavior is gradient following and patch feeding.
Follow these lines up into the food, and in the white simulates the food.
It will try to figure out its way into the open center of that white patch. So
It said, oh, it doesn't want to go down that finger out of the patch, so it turns around, and now it'll follow the edge some more.
what it's doing is it's measuring. It's trying to determine that piece right there, is it getting wider as it progresses in this direction or narrower? So it wants to go in the wider direction.
It stopped, indicating that it's full. So now it's going to go off the patch and then continue wandering.
It has a upward-facing light sensor that's used to scare the robot. And you flash it with a light, and it'll back up, turn away, and run.
That's where it's like an animal behavior, where if an animal is prodded in a way that is dangerous to it and it needs to escape, the example he gave us was like a sea slug. You poke the tendril, it'll suck back in really quickly. If you touched it again really quick, it would go back in but not as much. Touch it again, it'll go back slightly. It'll slowly come back out. And eventually, if you keep touching it, it'll just ignore you. That's what we had to do with the habituation. When we shoot it with a light, it has to run away for a long duration of time and then resume whatever it was doing. We keep shooting it with a light, and its response to the light just goes down until it eventually ignores it. If we leave it for a while, it should eventually come back up and be scared again by the light.
UW students showed off some robots at the school's Tacoma campus. The robots are using something relatively new called animatics. It's a fancy way of saying animal-like. The machines can be programmed to sense and even predict things.
What the robot has to be able to do is make decisions in real time that affect its behavior and allow it to continue to work toward its goal, even though it's, say, been interrupted by something that was not expected. So that's the nature of the autonomy we're talking about.
Oh yeah, this is our one of our lightweight designs, and it's pretty sturdy. Nothing has fallen off yet, thanks to Sarah's creative ingenuity.
didn't use super glue, did you?
Well, we had a few ideas at the beginning that just didn't work out. We were going to try to, at one point, make it look like a baby stroller on wheels. The design looked nice, but it would just fall apart too quickly. It needs to be able to hold together when you pick it up. Many designs we came up with did that. Sensors fall off, rip off, Legos, the whole thing comes apart. So the second challenge in the design is coming up with something that can turn in place. So if you have four wheels, you can't do that because they're going to rub. So we added this caster wheel that turns with it. And also treads versus wheels. The treaded design will tend to roll in a straight line more often, but it's a lot slower. I mean, it was like tank treads, the other design we had, and it was incredibly slow but robust. Well, that's the challenge, is just to get all of these sensors and actuators and computers on here together in such a way as to allow the thing to still roll around. These aren't very powerful motors here.
Two 16 kilobyte processors in there.
16K, I'm trying to remember the last time computers were measured in K.
They get the sensor input and they process it to make determination about what it should do. And we, as a team, had to decide how to do that. And since there are two of them, they have to communicate with one another.
Sometimes when you layer lots of behaviors like this, the attack the instructor could be a function of the sonar. Could be that's in the code somewhere.
The purpose of doing this is really to get the students to realize that the real world is very much more complicated and unpredictable. You have to literally be able to program in such a way that you can recover from problems that may arise. And this is a companion course for another course called Embedded Systems, and that's a little more practical in the sense that, like the heating, venting, and air conditioning system for this building is all computer controlled. Mm-hmm. And so most of the world now is going to computer chips of one kind or another in these various systems, and the students need to know how to program for these things. It turns out that this is probably the most, well, not probably, it is the fastest growing area in computer programming today, and these are the kinds of jobs, the students can get these jobs, that are not going to get shipped overseas anytime soon.
Tonight we know a little bit more about the future. Well, maybe the future of technology anyway.